Building in a Small Town, where we're talking to entrepreneurs, community leaders, policymakers, and more to find out how they're building things in small towns. I'm your host, Shelby Smith. All right, sure you're ready?
Yes.
Because we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Building in a Small Town. Today I have a very, very special guest. My favorite guest. My first guest. It's my husband, which is weird to say, Willie Beeler. Welcome to Building on a Small Town.
Thank you, Shelby Smith.
Forgive us, I needed to interview someone, and he's also building something in a small town. So, for us to get the technical kinks and everything else worked out, I figured I should have somebody that is relatively forgiving. So, exciting you get to be my first guest.
Can't wait.
Oh my God.
So excited.
I know. So excitable. Okay, so you also get to be like the run through of my questions that I plan on asking my guests. So I didn't grab a writing utensil.
For what?
A writing utensil, just in case, so I can write notes of if I like the question, if I don't like the question, I'm not gonna remember. Hold on. Time out.
Can you edit that part out? The pause? Or was I supposed to keep talking?
It would have been helpful if you kept talking.
Oh.
But that's okay. I could probably edit it out, but right now it's above my technical capabilities. So I am not going to. So I think hypothetically I would be like, oh, Willie Beeler, based in Collins, which is population. Do you know what the population of Collins is?
Is it 378?
483. You're close. So 483, because we are going to be focusing on towns less than 10,000. But anyway, so can you, I obviously know you pretty well, know your background pretty well, but let's just assume that everybody else listening, aka your mom and my mom and other people who do know your background, let's assume that nobody knows about your background. So where'd you grow up? What did you grow up doing? How'd you end up in the tiny town of Collins? Start from the beginning.
Okay, that's a very long track record history. Okay, so I grew up in rural north central northwestern Iowa, towns Armstrong, Iowa, and then we moved to Dolliver. And so repeat the question.
How did you, just give me your background? So you grew up...
in relation to my business?
No, all of it. Just you, in general, and your business.
Okay, so I grew up in a really small community. I had 18 kids in my graduating class, which we were kind of a small class for that school size. There was normally 25 to 30 kids per grade. And so I grew up with the same 20 people, for however many years. My first real job, I think, was mowing cemeteries and the city parks with my mom and my brother. I was in junior high when I was doing that. And then in high school, my first job was I worked for a well service, and the owner also farmed and had a feedlot. So I drilled wells during the week and hauled manure on the weekends. And so then after high school, I decided to go to college, went to Wartburg College in Waverly, Iowa, tried to play football, just rode the bench. But I would say being part of a collegiate athletic program that's a good program really propelled me in terms of my mindset and how I like to do things. And I also gained a lot of really good connections. So I majored in physical education in college. I got a job right out of college, and I taught at Greene County in Jefferson, Iowa for 4 years. And then I was going to quit and really thinking about joining the Army because I had some bad things happen to me, and we won't go into that. So my mom convinced me to give another school a chance, and so I went to Baxter, which is a small community very close to Collins. They're actually shared sports for like 21 years or something like that, and they had recently split. So I did that for 2 years, still decided I hated teaching, and I decided to quit and start a landscaping business. And that's what led me to Collins, because my significant other bought a building with an empty lot behind it. I mean, you didn't have the empty lot yet, but she had a building with a lot behind it, and so I'd park all my trucks and trailers there. So that's how I ended up in Collins. And then she bought an empty lot, so I had more room to spread my tentacles of piles of dirt and rock. And then I figured, well, we'll just buy a building on Main Street, because there were a bunch of vacant buildings, and we bought one that needed to be torn down and proceeded to dump over $250,000 into it. And that's where we're sitting right now. Did I answer that well enough?
That was great. That was good. You did sort of forget the whole, or no, I mean, I guess you did. You talked about the quitting teaching and starting the landscaping and that kind of thing. But give a little more detail on that. Like, why landscaping? How did you wind up landscaping? Like, was teaching your only gig while you taught, etc.?
So was teaching my only gig?
Yeah, like when you were teaching, were you only teaching?
No, so I had some college football friends that have a construction business in Ankeny, and I posted on Facebook or something that I was moving into an apartment on the north side of Ankeny. Mm-hmm. So Ross Naylor, one of my teammates in college, he contacted me and he said, hey, do you want to work on the weekends? And so I started working on the weekends. Not a whole lot of jobs, and also a little bit in the summer. But we were building a fence in Bondurant, and one of his high school friends who has a landscaping business was helping, and I was digging the fence post holes by hand. And he walks up to me and says, hey, you're good with a shovel. You want to work for me? I can pay you more. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I landscaped with him for a summer, and I was just thinking to myself, well, I'm doing all the work. And I mean, I wasn't doing all the work, but I was doing a lot of the work. And I just said, I want all the money too. So that was the summer before my last year teaching. Okay, so the summer before my last year, had some more bad things happen. And when I say bad things, I mean just running in with parents and kids that are just terrible people. So I didn't do anything wrong, for the record, either. I just was doing my job, and they didn't like the way I was doing it. And so instead of teaching that last year, I just watched YouTube and read on how to landscape. And then I started my business the following summer and grossed like a total of $50,000 or something. And then just kept building and building and building. And here we are now.
What was your first job? Like your first job as a landscaper? Do you remember? Like what the first paying job was? What was
First job was I raked up leaves and picked up dog poop for some old lady in Des Moines.
So
and now we're doing, $15,000, $20,000 projects, which still isn't that big in the grand scheme, but I don't know. Got to start somewhere.
Come a long way. So basically you can learn anything on YouTube.
Yes, you can learn anything on YouTube, just reading. I mean, you got to be careful on what you're watching and who you're watching. I probably took some bad advice from some YouTube videos, but you live and you learn.
Yeah, you sure do. Okay, so then on to my next question, because I think that covers your background pretty well and gets you to where we are. What's something that has really worked for you in the last 12 months?
having my significant other take phone calls and schedule stuff. I'm not very good with computers or technology, and I think I'm good at building relationships with customers because I did that for 6 years, building relationships with students and other faculty members and parents. So I have that down, but I just not super great at the calendar thing and advertising. I think I'm good at working, but I'm not good at the other stuff. So
delegating is what you've been good at in the last 12
yeah,
months.
I mean, I coached for 6 years. I think I'm a good leader, instructor. I think I'm good at like planning the day of, looking forward, not so great, but I think I'm just well suited for running job sites, and that's about it.
Don't worry, I can do the rest of it. It's no big deal. Okay, then what is something that really hasn't worked for you in the last 12 months?
Hiring bad employees.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, we got kind of dinged with that this year, unfortunately. I think that's inevitable in building any business. Is you're gonna, what do they say, you gotta crack some eggs to make an omelet. I mean, we needed more employees this year to be able to get the work done that you can get done. You needed reliable, you needed hardworking, and the other thing though is like anybody you added, because the ones who have been with you so long and know how things are, you couldn't add a bad apple that was gonna turn the rest of the team, and that was...
Yeah, and I think I've just been spoiled in terms of employees because I just went after kids that I had a good relationship with when I was teaching, and I figured they would be good employees, and it's worked out fine. All my hires besides the one bad one has happened organically. I was not advertising or anything, and the bad hire did happen organically, and it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And you're what? I think this was year 3. No, I think this was year 4. And so to get 4 years in before you have like a...
But the first 2 years I was basically working by myself.
That was you and Boley. Like, you weren't by yourself.
But when he went back to school, I was by myself. So yeah. I was not by myself for 3 months out of the 8-9 month season.
Yeah, but still, I think to have gotten as far as you did without having any problems in that way. Yeah. At some point it was inevitable, and the two of us just had a really rough employee year, shall we say. But it is what it is. It was unfortunate when it happened. It all ended up working out in the end, but that was probably some unnecessary stress. Okay. All right. I'm kind of interested to know what you think on this. What unique challenges and opportunities have you encountered when building projects or businesses in a small town as opposed to a more urban environment?
Say it again. Challenges
and or opportunities, like building in the small town versus the urban environment.
So challenges, I would say, is travel time to job sites. No one in a town of 300 or 480 people are gonna want $20,000 landscaping projects. So we have to drive about 45 minutes one way to get to most of our job sites. And that's been a challenge, especially with rising fuel costs and vehicle costs. Thankfully, all of my vehicles are paid for, and I'm a firm believer in having something that looks nice from 20 feet away. It doesn't need to be perfect up close. I think most of my stuff looks decent. So we did run a brand new truck last year, so it'd be 2022. We ran a new truck, and I can't bring myself to spend 60-70 grand on a truck that's gonna get beat to heck. So just keeping the trucks and trailers going we're putting on way more miles on them than someone that's located in the metro. So I would say that's the biggest challenge. And then I'm not gonna have the boys not clock in for their drive time. They're driving 45 minutes to an hour to job sites, so I'm paying them to drive, which I think is more than fair. they usually drive their own vehicles because none of my employees are comfortable driving truck and trailer. So that's why we bought a hook lift truck to help with that. But in terms of what's nice about being in a smaller community is commercial real estate is definitely cheaper. And no one's really going to tell you what you can or can't do in terms of what you do there.
Yeah, I mean, within reason
Yes.
on that one, obviously, like within reason.
Well, so in Ankeny, I don't know if this is, I just heard this, I don't know if it's true, but Perfect Cut, which is a really big company, their lot was zoned commercial, and a developer was wanting to build houses adjacent to it, and they got the county to come in and say that they can't operate out of that lot because it's zoned commercial, and they needed something zoned heavy industrial. It was due to the amount of trucks and trailers they had sitting there.
Yeah.
I don't think we would have that problem in Collins.
No, you would hope not. I will never say never, I suppose. But yeah, there's definitely, cost of living in a tiny town is less, but it all ends up balancing out, like you said, with fuel costs and travel time, and
Yeah, I still think we come out ahead
without a doubt.
because the property that we have, if you just combined it square footage wise, it'd be what, $4,000 a month.
Yeah,
So
if not more.
yeah,
Are you talking like in Ankeny or
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be more than that.
so I mean
More than that, for sure.
we're not spending $4,000 a month on fuel.
Yeah, and labor,
Yeah,
additional labor. So yeah, no, there's advantages.
about 500 a week, so 2,000 a month on fuel.
Yeah. Well, maybe fuel costs will go down in 2024. Maybe. Okay, this will be interesting. Have you faced any resistance or skepticism from the community, and how did you overcome it?
I have not encountered anything like that I know of. So no,
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think they're just happy to have something going on Main Street.
Yeah.
Could do a better job making it look clean and tidy, but when it's landscaping season, it's pedal to the metal. So
Well, there's
it's not a whole lot of room back there either. So
a certain lot is gonna look cleaner and tidier because it's being forced to be cleaner and tidier. But
and it has been cleaned and tidied up.
I know
So
it's
yeah.
fine. We're working on it. Anyways, okay. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs or builders looking to start a project in a small town?
What do you mean a project? Like
Anything.
any business?
Any business, any project, like deadlift competition, something, anything.
Well, it's gonna be a lot more work than anyone thinks. So that's it. You're not gonna make money right away, which is true for us for everything we've done, but it has ended up working out. Just do what you say you're gonna do and try your best. I don't know.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot more work and it's going to be more expensive than whatever you think.
Yes.
I would say a lot more work, a lot more expensive, and it's going to take longer than you thought too. I think those three things, whatever you have in your mind, it's going to be longer than that. And so just deal with that. Adjust your expectations accordingly.
Yes.
I think would be the best.
You're not gonna blow it out of the park.
And
So
like, let's just say that maybe you do, but if you had your expectations managed accordingly, then that's going to be a pleasant surprise. Maybe they're better at things than we are. Who knows?
doubtful.
You never know. I'm sure there's plenty that are much better. Anyway, how do you measure success for your projects in the context of a small town, and what impact do you hope to have for the long term?
Okay, your questions are too long, so
Okay.
split it up. What's the first part of the question?
How do you measure success?
If I made money and how much money I made on the project. Are you talking about landscaping projects or just whatever?
In general. Both?
So if it makes you money,
Okay.
it's successful.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why we work, is to make money.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next part?
What impact do you hope to have in the long term?
In Collins.
Sure.
I would say being able to employ people here in Collins.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really imagine, the people of Collins there's not many 20-year-old, people. So I'd be older, and so they wouldn't be out landscaping with me. But if we could have a material supply or part of the company, or also if we just had some machinery operators, they could come do that. But I would like to employ 10 to 15 people in the city of from the city of Collins, and provide a great environment for them to grow and make money and enjoy their job.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool if we could end up getting to that point. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to. I think it's possible. I think it is possible. Okay. Ha. This would be a good one. It feels kind of like a loaded question, but I don't know. What is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made?
The building that we're sitting in, that we turned into an office, great room, and an apartment, and it's got a heated shop attached to it. It was expensive, but it was worth it, and it will be worth it in the future. So
that's your one?
That is my best investment.
So far?
Yes.
Not a ring that you bought for your wife?
No.
Motor building.
It wasn't that expensive, so.
It wasn't that expensive, but it was what I wanted, so it didn't matter. Okay, that was an easy question, I feel like. This would be an interesting one. They're all interesting for me.
Is it a long question or is it short? Okay.
This one, it's relatively short. Are you focused?
Yes.
Okay. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, or have lost your focus temporarily, what do you do?
I lay down on the couch and think about it some more.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Easy. Wonderful. Okay. This would be a good one too. In the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life? You can expand that to 10 years if you want, because that gets you popped out of college.
Say it again.
In the last 5 or 10 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
I would say deciding to start my own business, because when I was teaching, the one thing that was terrible about that was, I absolutely hated it. But I'm not saying money is everything, but when I was at Baxter, I believe I would have maxed out at like $41,000 a year. And
that's after how many years?
10 years.
Yeah. So
they gave me, or maybe it was 8. I can't remember. They gave me my 4 years experience. So I would have maxed out in 4 years or 6 years. But can you imagine doing something for 33 years and only making having 33 years experience and only making 41 grand a year? I could have made more if I went back to school, but there's a reason why I went to school to be a PE teacher. Not good at school. So that was not an option for me. I don't even know why I decided to do it. I just wanted to coach football, and then I don't even do that anymore, so it doesn't really matter that much. But I just want to be able to make more money, so I figured starting my own business would be a good avenue to that. Definitely didn't make more money when I first started, but I would say I as much, if not more, and I'm my own boss and can do whatever I want. Don't have to answer to anyone besides the customers and
your wife.
And my wife. So I'd say it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that was a good answer to that one. I don't know if that was what I thought you would say, but
What do you think I was gonna say?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking these questions. I think it's good. Okay, this one's like super easy softball for you too. Super easy softball, which is good. Like, we need to talk about it anyway. Can you share a specific project or initiative that you believe has had a positive impact on the small town you're involved in?
So, how it affects the town?
No,
Or-
it's like,
Your questions are confusing.
this is not a confusing question. Like, what is something that we're doing in the town that is making a positive impact, like outside of this building? Yes, fine.
Well, we do
This
the deadlift
Yeah,
competition
that was
during
easy.
Collins Fun Days, and Collins Fun Days
It's Baxter Fun Days. It's
or
Collins
Collins Days. There's not a whole lot that goes on besides our deadlift competition and the parade. So
So do you want to talk about how we ended up doing that? Like, how we ended up doing the deadlift competition at all? Because that was your baby. You started it.
it was.
Yeah, you started
It
it
was
Baxter.
my idea. Oh yeah, forgot about that. Okay, so let's rewind a ways here. So I played offensive line in college, so I used to be fat. And
How reference, like,
well, I'm like 215 right now, and I was 265, 270 in college,
and you're how tall?
5'9" and 3/4. So they recruited me to play defensive line and switched me to O-line the first day. So I didn't think that was very fair. Since I went to such a small high school, I had never run a 40-yard dash, had never done pro agility, had never done a standing broad jump,
Had never done a bibliography.
had never done anything, whatever that is. So yeah, when I showed up to college, I probably looked like a complete turd, but I was told if I wanted to play, I had to put on weight. So I put on weight, partying on the weekends and drinking a handle of whatever each weekend, probably didn't help. So anyways, was really big in college. And then after college, I decided to get into powerlifting, and just told myself I'm going to compete at 198. And so that's what I did. And so I probably did 3 or 4 powerlifting competitions, and I like it. Well, I don't like it now because my body always hurts. I really enjoyed it. I had a decked out weight room in my basement, and I had some roommates that were powerlifters and all that stuff. So it worked out pretty well. And so then when I was teaching, I would take students to powerlifting competitions and Olympic weightlifting competitions. So I have quite a bit of experience with how meets are ran. And so Shelby and I did the state fair deadlift competition, and I thought that was probably the most fun weightlifting competition I'd ever done. And so I wanted to raise money for the weight room at Baxter. So I hosted a deadlifting competition for Baxter Fun Days, and I made a platform on my gooseneck trailer, and I think we had 20 participants, because one gym brought 18 people.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Right.
Everyone enjoyed it, and I can't remember if there were a lot of people watching or not. I think there probably was.
Probably.
And so then, did we do the deadlift competition here right the year following?
So you did Baxter one more year.
No, I didn't. I did that once.
No, you did it twice.
I did it once.
No, you did it twice.
No, I did it once because we didn't know each other the summer after my first year.
Yeah, you did it once.
Yes.
Yes. No, so we did not do it the year right after, because so we would have done state fair deadlift. We both did it in 2018.
We did that 2 years.
Right, but so we did it 2018. That was the year I got second, and you almost
Did not place.
almost pulled over 500, I think, or maybe tried 505 or something. I don't remember. And then the second year, did you lift the second year too?
Yep.
Oh. third that year and didn't really, was not consistent in training. I don't even remember what you did. I don't even remember what you tried. I don't remember.
No idea. Don't know. Don't care.
Once again, didn't place. But so that would have been 2019, and then 2020 there was no fair, and there was no Collins Days in 2020. So then 2021 would have been our first Collins Days deadlift competition.
Okay, so anyways, I decided to put on a meet in Collins because I thought it would draw some people to make Collins Days more fun, or say, hey, people, like Collins is a town, come check it out, come lift weights and see what's up.
How'd that go the first year?
I don't remember.
We had 7 lifters.
Okay, and we were 2 of them.
We had 9, including us.
Okay, so first year sucked. Second year doubled.
We had 14.
Was
Better.
decent. And then the third year had a lot of people, like 40 or something.
57.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a lot of people, and I think we had a lot of positive feedback. There are things that we can do better. I kind of want to turn the Collins deadlift thing into something as big as the state fair competition. And the reason why I like this deadlift only competition is because when you do a powerlifting competition, you're there for like 10 hours and it's boring. There's not many people watching, and it's just a bunch of huge, roided out dudes just strutting their stuff. And this is a more inviting context. Anyone can come do it, any age group. We want more girls to do it, more women. I just think it's a great way to celebrate what you've been doing in the gym and show your progress. And there's a lot of people that watch, and a lot of people that just are in Collins that don't know anything about weightlifting, and they think it's odd. They think it's crazy when someone does like 500 pounds, and it's like, that's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not impressive in terms of a powerlifting competition. But the people that are actually watching, I think, value the work that our participants have put in, because they don't have a whole lot of context on what competitive powerlifting is like. And I want it to stay that way. I don't want it to be like UPA or whatever. So I don't know, I think it's a good thing to do. And we haven't made any money doing it. We both spend like $1,000 on it each year, so I guess that means we care. Like
lose $1,000.
Yeah.
$1,000. I was way over $1,000 this year.
And then I mean there's probably $2,000, $3,000 worth of weights and barbells that I've acquired over the years. So
yeah. Well, we had, saying 500 pounds is not that much. Like, to an average person, that's a lot. But then, in context, we also had, I think we had 4 guys pull over 700 this year.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, those dudes were like freaks of nature. But I'm saying, like, your average dude that, goes to the gym 3 days a week and does a little bit of powerlifting and deadlifting, they can show up to the Collins Days, and even though there's a behemoth of a man doing 700 pounds, people are still impressed that this scrawny dude is doing 405.
Yeah.
So I think that's exciting. I don't know. That's what I like about it, is because the people watching don't really know like what's good or what's not good.
Yeah. Well, and it's yeah. I think
if that makes sense.
It does. It does make sense. And this year I really hope we can get
100 people.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, all 5 of you, tell all of your friends and family to come to Collins Days. I don't know when it is, but it's sometime in the summer.
3rd week in June.
Whenever that is.
3rd weekend of June. I already have if you're on Facebook, the Facebook event is already created. Registration link will probably be live by the time this airs, honestly. I try to get it out in the first week of January. And
we might be having cash prizes this next time, so if you're a freak of nature and can do like 700 pounds, please come.
Yeah.
Because we want the freaks of nature coming out and just ripping plates off the floor.
Yeah, because it's a spectacle. It gets people excited. It gets people It's something people talk about. It's something that then brings people back the next year. And honestly, like the more bodies we get there and the more eyeballs we get on the event, the easier it is for us to raise sponsorship to be able to give the cash prizes and make it bigger and better the next year, because it's one of those things like I would like to not be eating, $1,500 a year. I'm fine with it because like it's a cool event and I think that it's great for the community, but I also would like to maybe make a little bit of money off of the effort one of these years.
So with that said, I think out of all the businesses in Collins, we probably do the most for the community.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that do a lot of things for the community. But we
try to do a lot, I guess.
We try to make as much of an effort as we can, even if it means just bringing a bunch of weightlifters from out of town, from 3 different states this year, to the tiny town to lift some weights. And so, yeah, I think the next step for that too, for that whole event is, get sponsorship, but it's also like figure out how to benefit the rest of the event by bringing these people in. So having other entertaining things happening.
Yes, I think it needs to be a little more coordinated.
Yeah, it's just hard to get other people to, and we've talked about this, hard to get others to put as much effort in as we do to make the event as awesome as we do. Like that's another one of those things that it doesn't just magically happen. Like we don't just show up on the day of and 57 people from 3 states show up. Like I said, the registration link will be live first week of January, and then from January until June, like I am sending out flyers, I'm going to events, I'm handing out flyers, I am paying for advertising, I am doing all of those things. Like that's what it takes. So, and people are busy, so I don't know. It's I would like to figure out some sort of a way to benefit wider with it, but I don't know. I'm proud of what we've, man, that was close. I'm proud of what we've been able to build in 3 years. Like, it was one of those things that was awesome this year, going from 7 to 14 to 57. It was pretty insane, and in many ways we were not prepared, but
it still went really smooth.
Yeah, well, and that was all the feedback we got from the participants too, was that like this was super smooth.
And had a better judge too.
Yeah, thanks George. George was a good judge. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for the future of it. I think it's not something I would want to like travel around and put on those kind of events.
No.
Like that was, somebody had asked us if we would do the same thing in Maxwell at
like
Old
2 weeks
Settlers.
later.
Yeah. No, it wasn't 2 weeks later. It was 2 weeks before the state fair is when Old Settlers is. It's first weekend in August, which like the reason ours works well is because there's not really a whole lot of competitions around ours. Like you're far enough out from the state fair that like it's a good tune-up for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's less
figure out your opener.
Yeah, and it's less intimidating and less expensive for first timers than the state fair. So like it's a little lower key. It's a good first quote unquote meet for people. But I don't know. I'm proud of us for having built it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty alright.
Yeah, it's alright.
Super excitable. In case you guys haven't noticed, he like doesn't get too worked up about much. He's pretty even keel. What else? Anything else that you have gained in your knowledge and wisdom as a almost 5-year business owner at this stage?
In a small town.
In a small town, which, yeah.
Well, I obviously had no idea how to run a business. I went to school to be a PE teacher, so that was kind of a wake-up call. The biggest thing was just not knowing how to price jobs. So that was a struggle. Still is sometimes, but I think it's a struggle for any business owner. In the metro, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of good landscapers out there, and there's a lot of really bad ones. So, just let the bad ones make you look better, and just, like I said already, show up and do what you say you're gonna do, and treat the customer's area better than you would treat your own. So, and that's how we do it, and it's worked. I think it's worked great. I've never had anything bad happen in terms of customer not liking something.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean, you
would fix it.
If that ever did happen, we would just fix it.
Yeah.
So I always tell customers, I ask them, do you like it? And they say yes. And then I ask, are you sure? And once they tell me yes 3 or 4 times, we're good to go. And so if they want me to change something, I change it.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of doing it. I think we're on the right track, even if it doesn't feel like it maybe sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is just recognizing that, to me, and I recognize this from the beginning, is in terms of your employees, it's not their dream for you to have your own business. So you need to treat your employees very well, I think. So they're not going to be great when they start, but you need to mold them into what you want them to be. Just like a freshman football player. When I was a freshman football player, I didn't even play because I had a broken wrist. But I'm sure like the coaches were like, oh, this kid, he might be decent. But I just stayed the course and did what they asked me to do, and lo and behold, we were, pretty good football team, and I would say slightly above average in terms of 8-man football. So I think that's one reason why I've been successful, is just being part of sports teams and knowing what like a well-oiled machine looks like, and try to make my employees, motivate them to do a good job and take pride in what they do, so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
It does. Sometimes.
Yes. It's a lot of talking.
I know. It's great. You're doing great.
Still need shorter questions.
Yeah, I'll work on it. That's why you were my first.
Yeah, your one questions are like 2 lines long. That's way too much.
Yeah, can't remember it.
No.
Can't think about it. Cool. So then where do you see the business in this town in 5 years?
Okay, so I think you need to differentiate your questions. Like, I get confused on it. Like, so am I talking about the town or my business? Yes, my business is in the town. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
But that doesn't change anything. So.
Yeah, you're right. Where do you see your business in 5 years?
Okay. So hopefully we'll be, grossing a couple $1 million a year. I have all the fancy trucks and trailers and excavators and skid steers that I want, and have 5 to 8 employees, or maybe just 5, I don't know. I want my employees to make a livable wage and not have to work physically super hard. And I've spent a lot of money in the past few years on equipment that makes everyone's jobs easier. And I guess my saying is, I'm not going to ask someone to do that I'm not willing to do myself. Now, with that said, I'm 30 something years old, played football for 10 years, played rugby for a year, and then did the powerlifting for 6 years. I got a few miles on my body, even though you'd say that it's not a big deal, but I've got a lot of miles on my body. And so my 20-some-year-old employees, they can maybe do a little bit more physical stuff. I'm still stacking 81-pound blocks whenever we're doing retaining walls, and you're giving me that look like I'm full of shit, but I can't remember where I was going with that. But anyways, I want my employees to make a livable wage, a good livable wage. I want to make an even better livable wage, And I don't want people to be having to break their bodies. You know, there's some things you can't get around, but like that's the beautiful thing about landscaping or like excavation. There are so many tools and machinery that you can utilize to make your job way easier. Now with like carpentry and stuff, there's not so much. So I think that's one reason why I picked landscaping, is because I always grew up loving diesel trucks and tractors and skid steers and stuff. And my dad was a master plumber, and I remember when I was growing up that I just loved being at the job site when they were digging in a sewer, because I just wanted to drive that backhoe so bad. And now I have it, but it doesn't run, so it's just sitting at a farm right now. We don't have much of a use for it, but when we get more room, that baby's coming home. My grandpa bought it like in the 80s or something. Been in the family for over 40 years. So we'll find a way to use it for something.
Better than a shovel.
Yes, it is better than a shovel, but I can't use it on any of my job sites, so it doesn't even matter. I'm not going to drive a 13,000 pound tractor through someone's front yard. So I already forgot what the question was. Can you repeat the question?
Where do you see the business in 5 years?
Yeah, so basically having well-paid employees that love their job and making more money.
Making enough to be comfortable.
Yes.
Cool.
So in 5 years, in this area, a livable wage is probably like 60 grand a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I think is possible. I would rather go the route. I know I just said I wanted to like employ people from Collins. When I think of that, I think of having a sister business that's not so physically taxing, and it's more appealing to the people of Collins, like the middle-aged people. And then on the landscaping side, I want to be machinery heavy, technology like GPS and all that stuff with excavation. And I would like my landscaping hardscape crew to be me and 4 other guys. And then maybe someday we'll start a maintenance crew. I don't know. There's some landscapers I follow on social media that do incredible work, and they think that maintenance is profitable. Just needs to be priced accordingly, and you have to be in the right area. So we might not be in the right area because chucking a truck will mow someone's yard for $20. So I won't move my truck and trailer to a job site unless I think I'm making $200 just to drive there. Like that's just allocated for the truck and trailer. So that would have to be 10 lawns in the one area.
Which could be.
It's possible.
Yeah, you can end up with a route depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
And what sort of neighborhood you get into, kind of a situation. But
they do have mowers now. Like, you know, the little ones that use GPS, they now have full-size stand-on, like 52-inch deck mowers that are autonomous.
Yeah.
So I could see myself getting into something like that.
Autonomous mowing business.
Just have one person, one truck, one trailer. The mower gets off and it starts mowing, and you walk around with a battery-powered weed whipper and do everything else. And
what did you just call that?
a weed whipper?
Weed whipper?
Yeah.
Weed eater?
Same thing.
Never.
Must be a northern Iowa term.
Weed whipper. Huh. Well, is there anything else you would like to tell the people about Beeler Lawn Landscape and anything else?
No, I think I've covered it all pretty well.
I think you do. Good
I
job.
think questions should be presented to the speaker prior to.
Yeah, I think so too, but I didn't want you to cheat. I wanted to get your
What do you mean
real-
cheat?
I wanted you to get your real answer. I didn't want to have something like canned or something.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I was just glad for you had to see them blind so that you'd give me live feedback, and you gave me live feedback, which was very helpful. I wrote down none of it, so I didn't need to write anything, but sweet. Well, I'm excited to build things in a small town with you.
Yes.
You know?
I think your questions need to be, like I said, they were just, I didn't know if you were talking about the town or the business.
Cool. Yeah.
So they need to be like,
Separate.
I would say, hey, your business is in a small town. That's awesome. Let's talk about your business.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because no offense to most business owners that are in a small town, but I don't think they like really care that much about the town in general.
You don't know that.
I'm not saying I don't, but
No, but you don't know that.
I know I don't know that, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. So
Yeah.
just if you can be more business focused.
Right. Well, and that's what people know anyways. And then, yeah, I think you're right. You are correct. Good job.
Yes.
Thank you for your constructive feedback.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Sweet. Well, you're gonna have to come back and we'll talk about something. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about.
Wait, so I get to be on another episode?
Yeah. Unless you don't want
Episode 2?
to. No, not episode 2.
Yeah, I think I probably could have done a better job.
This is episode 2, but you will. But we'll have to talk about something. I don't know. Maybe we'll just come on and talk about whatever. Because it's my podcast. I can do what I want.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you want to follow Beeler Lawn Landscape and his fabulous reels that he puts together.
Yeah, my reels get like over 1,000 views and just random things of like skid steers, trucks, and trailers, and I get way more views than Shelby does. And all my reels are just nonsense.
All his he started doing reels. God, was it this fall when you just started doing them? I think it was this fall. Maybe it
Well, it's because the Mulder guy, the landscaper that I follow, I listen to his podcast. He said he just tries to post something every day. And he has no idea why some get a lot of views and some don't. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm standing in a trench with a water line. I'm going to take a video and put some stupid line saying I did this for blah 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 and and it got like 34,000 views.
Yeah, but you didn't even put a line. Like you didn't even say any. Oh, maybe you
I put like the pop-up text.
Yeah, like you don't put a caption. You put no context. There's no conversation. You don't put any music. It's like literally just this 15-second video about nothing, and you get 33,000 views. And I'm with. I think you have like 120 followers or something like that.
Is that a lot?
No, it's not. I mean, to get 33,000 views on 120 something followers is like absurd.
Well, okay, so I have done some research on this is because when I'm scrolling through my reels, I like to look at the reels of like skid steers like flipping over and people digging holes and trenches and building septic systems and stuff like that. There's not a whole lot of thought behind it. It's just videos of stuff that I think is interesting. So,
and I'm going to tell you, keep putting up reels, but I will also sprinkle in reels that like actually make sense because you're not your target market. So,
yep, I'm just a redneck from north central Iowa.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying you're not your target market. And at the end of the day, we're trying to reach your target market. But if you would like to follow along with his cool reels and my reels that will actually have some context with them, you can go to, I think it's Beeler Lawn Landscape on everything. And not like Beeler Lawn and Landscape.
I'm not sure.
I think it's Beeler Lawn Landscape.
There is another one in like Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So there's 2 of us out there.
But
we're the one in Iowa.
Yeah. We're the cooler one.
I have gotten requests for estimates in Oklahoma.
So, yeah. So anyways, you can follow along, and until next time.
I think I've gotten reviews too. I've gotten Google reviews.
From Oklahoma?
It's gotta be. Because I have one review saying, Ryan did a great job doing this fence.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like the first 5-star review I ever got.
Well, we'll take it.
Was from someone that I did not do work at their property. Because we don't do fences.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of do, but
not really.
Not really.
Well, we'll take it. So anyways, this will probably be the first of multiple episodes that you appear on. So good job. Thanks for being my guinea pig. Thanks for the live feedback. You're the best. What would you like to leave people with?
So I don't really have any feedback in terms of having a business in a small town. So, but I have feedback in terms of starting your own business. It is not meant for everyone. I think that's one reason why I had a hard time quantifying what employees are worth in terms of hourly wage, because, you know, I'm always thinking like, well, they know enough now to go out and do their own business. But some people just don't have the same mindset. They want that steady paycheck and whatever. But I mean, you're never gonna know until you try. There's this one guy I worked for when I was living in Jefferson teaching. He has a manure pumping business. He started with nothing in 1991, and now they have like 40 tractors going, pumping hog manure and applying it to fields. And the business teacher at Greene County, she was really nice. And I only heard about this secondhand, but she had, his name's Alan Neese, she had him come speak to her business class, and he said something along the lines that most of you in this room can't do this, can't start your own business, because he started with nothing. And he just says he didn't have 2 wood nickels to rub together, and probably worked 80 hours a week for, I don't know, 10 years, which, I mean, we work a lot. I mean, for me, an off day is working in the morning and then coming home at 1 o'clock and hanging out. Like, you don't get days off at all. So, I mean, if you want to try, but it just know that it's not for everyone, and it's going to be way harder than it looks like on social media. And I guess I think the reason why I decided I could do it is because I think I work really hard, which I think that's true, but there's a lot more to it than that, just working really hard. So you need to reach out to people that are more intelligent than you in certain areas and take feedback and just try to improve in every way possible.
Hard work guarantees nothing, but without it, you don't have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I would go rake leaves for people for like $100. It cost me $40 in fuel just to get there. So
we learned. We now have a pricing spreadsheet, so
yeah.
That's helped. Luckily, you have a wife that has multiple finance degrees, so.
Yeah, I don't bring that much to the table myself, but.
It's okay, I love you.
All right, let's cut this off.
All right.
I want to go upstairs and lay on my couch.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. And yeah, like I said, first of many. Thanks for being my first guest. You're the best. Good job, babe.